It's 6 o'clock. We're ready to go.
I can't hear Marion.
I can do it if you want me to. Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Alderman Falconberry. Here. Alderman Hill.
Here.
Mayor Joyce.
Here.
Alderman Morton. Alderman Sedlak. Alderman Williams.
Motion. Second. Yep, I'll make a motion. He was out there and I seen him. I told him Dottie wasn't gonna be. We didn't ask about the rest of it.
There's a series of letters requesting help because of the obvious. And I think he's has letters from Alexander, Desiree, and for resolution supporting.
Mark, I can't hear that. Yeah, what y'all saying?
Horace, they're talking about a resolution in support of finding a new building for a post office.
Oh, we got the ideal place down there in town if we get it.
We'll probably right at Christmas, and by next meeting it'll be soon enough.
Can Todd hear us? Todd, can you hear us, buddy?
I can hear you now, yeah.
You want to tell him kind of what we want him to do, or what? Well, first of all, is that a consensus? Is everybody?
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Okay, and then we can get the resolution and pass it next meeting if possible. That should be pretty soon after Christmas, and then get it sent off.
Get that, Todd?
Yeah, Mark said, I guess y'all were discussing a resolution to recommend a new location for a post office. We could definitely draw that up and have it on the next agenda.
Now, we have recently had a study done this year, and they come out here and we've tried this once. So what's going to be different this time and that time? Because we tried to get them to move it once, and they've already re-signed a contract for a few years in that building. And they come out here and looked at the traffic and said they wasn't willing to do that. Is there a way to push that forward anyway?
I think maybe if we just send it to more than one, copies of a resolution to more than one person. I don't know that it will do any good.
Cause they
But
did
at
come
least-
down here and do a study, didn't they, Mark?
Well, about 3 years ago, I guess, Mayor Bingham had worked with Mayor Alexander's office to, look at the situation and kind of give us, some guidance on what their plan is. And basically, they came back and said that they did not see the need at this time for a new place, and they were going to redo the contract, which actually started in 2019.
Yeah,
I
started in
believe.
2019.
So I think in a case like this, it's just important that if we feel strongly about it, if the town feels strongly about it, that, we just keep asking. I think that's, eventually how things will get done if they do, is we just keep on asking.
It may be just a formality for us, but if we keep sending it to as many people as we can. I mean, if we just try not to send it just only to, well, now it would be Alexander's replacement, but then also send it to Blackburn and Desjardins and state representative, just send it to a lot of people, and maybe we'll get somebody's attention. And at least we're doing, trying something to let people. And since then, we have had this subdivision to come on, and they are evidently building at an amazing speed.
Yeah.
We went out there to check on the graveyard out there the other day, and it was like, it was unreal how many more they had started.
It's all right.
I mean, how soon are they gonna finish up that first phase? I mean,
It's nearly finished, and then they're really moving on this other subdivision, that's been approved by Stony Brook too. They're ahead of schedule on their infrastructure, so it's not slowing down, that's for sure.
and so that's a difference right there between just 2019 and 2020, the number of houses that have gone up and have been approved. So I think, we'll just keep trying. Thank you, Dottie.
If they would do something just as simple as move like the PO boxes down here, just a remote office, just they can ship as much as they want to down there, just get the people that are stopping in at another part of town.
But they just need more room too. There's more and more people shopping online and.
When I went to
everything
go buy my Christmas stamps, I stood in line
else. Oh, yeah.
35 minutes. Yeah, just to buy stamps. So, thank you. So, any other citizen input? All right, communications from the mayor. In the month since we met last, I would like to thank Alderman Sedlak for going with me to the November JEBDC board meeting. It was a good meeting. The veterans activity in town was wonderful. I would like to thank the committee and Mark for planning that event. And then this past weekend, and I'd like to thank Chairman Dottie Morton. I'd like to thank Chad Dennis, Jamie Pratt, Mike Falkenberry, Brian Williams. I understand Mr. Sedlak was out there getting the cars parked behind the fire department. So I would like to thank you all for doing that, because I just parked myself and watched.
I'd also like to add Mr. Delk in there on the Veterans Day program,
Oh,
because
yeah.
he does the majority of the work, and I really appreciate him doing that for us.
Yes.
Thank you. So there's just so many people who are doing so much.
Everybody is pulling in and it's coming together. I've felt an excitement that it's been a few years since I have felt the excitement just about our town.
I think me and Mike did a pretty good job, but Mike, for the most part, all I handled was the razors, but Mike had a great system going on up there for lining them up.
It went so smoothly watching, there weren't big gaps. It was just planned and organized and perfectly. It went off without a hitch, in my opinion.
Everybody had a plate in it.
It was so exciting, and the tree.
The tree.
I can't wait to get my granddaughter over here to get a picture made out by the tree and then watch her and the tree grow. That was really, really great. And I understand Chad worked really hard getting that.
He
put in
worked
the
3
ground.
days all by himself.
Wow.
And that was a lot of up and down the ladders.
And
All I could do is watch. And I love to watch.
And then we got it online.
Yes.
So people, my sister-in-law, who doesn't get out much anymore, she's over 80, but she looks under 60. But, you know, she lives alone now. And so she watched it online, and that was really exciting, you know, for the people who wanted to stay home. So, and then I understand now that there have just been thousands of people that
I heard
have
almost
watched,
10,000 views of that.
have watched that. So I'm
That
just
doesn't hurt
totally
anything.
amazed
Huh?
that.
I should have been.
I know it. You certainly should
I
have.
know me out.
So I did, that's the, you know, and I do want to thank Dottie for going to the December JEDBC
There you go.
meeting with me. And if anyone can make the next one, I'm not sure when that is. That's in, it's not January, it's,
It'd be the second Tuesday in January.
second Tuesday in
And
January.
it'll be another one that's at 8:15, probably in Lewisburg.
Okay.
8:15.
So, you know, if you would like to go, I think you learn a little bit from this, and I think it's really great that some of you will go and mingle.
Well, I felt lucky to go this last time because David Duck was honored for his service with a soldier's child. And it was really impressive. And I was happy to see that.
Oh, I'd also forgot to mention, we had Citizen of the Year, and we've had our very first humanitarian award this year. So there have just been so many activities that have been going on. It seems to be around that committee that you three are on, and just
It's fun.
moving the town along. Okay, that's all I have. Do I have anything on reports? I think most of them are here, but Mark, do you have anything you want to report?
I'm not sure if I've sent anything to y'all about the letter I received from the engineering company on, we've been working on getting approval through the planning commission of phase one, the first 70 homes of the Groves subdivision, and we did get a response back from the engineers. They've done a hydraulic model and determined that without getting into too much technical language, that first 70 homes, phase one, would have little impact on that force main. So that's moving, I guess, is the best way to put it. And, you know, waiting on some additional agreements and approvals. But that one too looks like it's about to move.
More reason for us to have a bigger post office here. Okay, anybody else want to report anything? All right.
I'd like Tennessee Advisory Service for first-time aldermen. They gave us a whole lot of paperwork and things to review, a lot of eye-opening things. Discussed a few of them with Mark on different issues that I need clarifying on. But if you ever get a chance to go to it, it's beyond. I mean, for the price of it and for the amount of information and knowledge they have, and if anybody wants to look through some of the stuff that they sent out, I have it here for you. But it was a great class. It was on Zoom, so it really wasn't too bad. Got to sit through it, and I think you guys would enjoy it.
And that's another thing, whenever we get to go back to, thank you for reminding me, to go back to some of our meetings, and I'm not sure, you know, if they're even gonna meet this year. I think it's scheduled for Chattanooga, isn't it?
So
I hope that we get a group together to go. I mean, Tommy Lawrence and I, we didn't share a room, but we did go together one time to Chattanooga, and it's fun in Chattanooga.
Well,
Actually.
and you get to meet them personally and everything. It was
So I
good
hope
fun.
that we will all take the opportunity, if we can, to do some of those things for training. You do just learn so much.
I'm sorry, speaking of training, when is our deadline end? Is it year to year? Is it a rolling year for our training, Mark? Or?
on the,
For what we have to have every year?
for the water, and for the finance.
First year I had to have 12 hours and so on and so on.
I think once you got your initial 12 hours, you're good for 2 years, I believe, and then it's, I want to say maybe 4 hours every 2 years after that. I'd have to look it back up, but I think everybody here is okay right now.
Okay, I just don't want to sneaking up on us with the.
And if you go to the meetings, you usually can get into some of the, that accounts for that.
Okay.
And so it's, sometimes they're in Nashville, and sometimes they're in Memphis and, Knoxville, they're around the state, so
Yeah,
hopefully I will look into that.
yeah, a lot of that training that's required in different areas can be handled at a conference.
Okay.
What is a team huddle?
That's when we get together sometimes through Zoom on Wednesdays. We try to do it once a month, and just since we've all been so separated this year, that's the one thing we try to do, just to get together and talk.
Is that employees?
Yeah, just the employees.
Well, great.
And express, anything that needs to be talked about as a group, or if anyone has anything that they want to, share, or it's just a means for us to.
Is it helpful?
Since we're not, it can be, yes. We talked about health insurance, in the last one that we had. Since, like I say, this year we hadn't had a lot of opportunities to get together to talk. So, we use that. We kind of developed that so we could just stay in communication.
And while we're talking about that, before I jump into the rest of the agenda, I think Mark wants to keep town hall closed because it's difficult for the number of people that we have. If we come down with COVID at the same time, then it will definitely be shut down. But I wanted to get everybody's input before.
I don't have a problem with it. Like I said, there's three people in the building. If one gives it to the other one, it shuts down. Who's going to run this place?
I don't have a problem with it, but I do think I'd love to see an end date though, as to when we're getting to hope, have an end date to say this is what we're shooting for, so we can tell people we hope it will be. Yes.
My initial thought is to reassess it after the holidays, and I will say I'd highly prefer to have it open. It makes everything better and easier, but like I say, I think it's important just to try to keep the wheels turning right now. At least 6 of us now have had this thing, so and every time it has kind of an effect on things. Right now it's affecting our police department since we've had one down. We've had others to have to cover shifts and reschedule vacations and things of that nature. And if I had 2 go down, we really struggle in the police department.
I believe the government employees like that are supposed to be in line for the vaccine early on, I think. I've heard that somewhere, and I don't know. I was discussing that with somebody the other day, and that was what they were telling me, so I don't know for sure.
Well, Mark and I have discussed this, and we don't always agree. But it's Mark's call with Mark. And I know you think I nitpick, and perhaps I do, but okay, I agree. It is totally your call on shutting this baby down. But every time I come by, there's a white Chapel Hill truck of some sort parked with nobody in it. So I assume they're in this building. So if we're going to shut this building, it needs to be shut to all employees also.
Since I've shut the door, I don't know of anyone outside the 3 that work in here that have been here. We go outside to get packages from people that work here.
Oh, right, I get that. But there was a truck today parked around back.
Everyone that works here has been coming through the window to talk to us.
But this one was parked in the second
There's
grade.
one that.
There's
It's
one
always
that
parked
stays
there,
parked
it's not
right there.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah, it's there now.
Okay.
It's just an extra.
That one up there right now has been there, it stays there.
Okay, well, my mistake then.
I don't know why.
I just think we need to be consistent. Either we're in or
Yeah, yeah,
we're
we-
open or we're shut.
We don't let anybody in here that doesn't work in here. And we've actually got Sandy working from home right now, just in case, you know, we run out of people, we know that we've got her to call in.
There you go.
Or one of us, I can't, you know.
Well, that'd be desperation. You talk about a
I don't even
mess.
know how to use
I
it.
could make a mess.
Okay,
You can figure it out.
all right, we'll move on
Figure it
to old
out.
business. Does we have any old business? Okay, we'll then move to new business, the discussion of the condemnation of property. Okay, Mark?
I'm actually gonna let Joe lead this discussion. He kind of brought this up to me and wanted to talk about a couple of these properties again.
Before I came Alderman, I seen that you guys possibly discussed this one other time before. There's been other citizens and people driving through asking about some of the houses that are still considered abandoned or unsafe to use. I says, well, from what I understood at one point, it was possibly looked at. So I would ask to bring it up again and see where it was at. And in going through this class, there's ways that it can be done without calling it eminent domain and taking it over. There's ways that if it was affecting a roadway or something like that, we'd have more power to it. But the way it was brought up, what I thought I read from your minutes or watched video of, it's called condemnation, and it's to take down something that is unsafe or not anybody in the building for a period of time, and nobody's made an effort to take care of the building. And there's a couple that, since I've been on, they've asked me, well, it's depreciating the value of my house. It's unsafe. They're breaking windows in it all the time. It's got to be putting a burden on police. If I look at it in the fire code, there's places that you can look through the fire marshal and through the National Fire Code that it's unsafe for firefighters to go in. So this surround and drown instead of going interior. So if there's somebody inside it and we have to go in, we're risking double time because it's not only us, but the person that's already in. And they listed a bunch of other things in that. If you go to the MTSU and the class that I was in, they have a whole section of it as well. Some of which are unsafe condition, health hazard, fire condition, and then natural hazard because of a tornado, because it was already burnt one time and the residents haven't made a move on it. Some of the houses, I'm not sure how many years it's been, but there was one on Lawrence, there's one on High Street, or the main drag coming into town, which would be a little bit of a beautification part of it. You know, somebody wants to come through town, they see this abandoned house, it's like either it's very historical or getting ready to be dealt with, or they can't make a move on it. And then we even have something I believe would be considered on our property on Depot Street by the community center. They tore the house down for basically the same reason and for expansion of the parking lot, but we still have the old shed in the back. So it's something that might want to be able to look at again, and Todd may be able to help further it along or give us the right legal way to do it if it's even possible. But I know we've had code violations on a couple of them that the grass never was cut. And then one time they went in there and baled it and made a couple of rolls out of it to try to sneak around it again. But the one house we pass on a regular basis on Lawrence, you can actually see the corner foundation columns falling out. The window's been broke out of it. We've closed the door a couple of times to keep the kids out of it. And I think as far as it was mentioned at one time, it's possible that the fire department might use it for training. But when they looked at it, they found it was too much involved to try to put it back together to make it safe enough to do basic search and rescue and attacks and things like that. It would just become a surrounding ground.
The reason we didn't pursue the White House is the cost to tear it down is astronomical.
But the cost of it, if I read it right and trying to follow through the things I've been researching, it would go back on the property. The cost would stay on the tax board or the record that if it's sold, then the fee would have to be taken off the top to reimburse the city for it. So if that's a good lead into it, Todd, I'm not sure. But it was way around.
Yeah, I mean, there is a couple different procedures that you can follow if you've got structures that you determine are unsafe and that need to be either repaired or taken down. They all involve first doing an investigation, making a determination that it's code violations and that the extent of them justifies moving forward. Then you have to give notice to the property owners, and they have a certain amount of time to either correct it or tear it down themselves. And then if you go through those time periods, then yes, the town can move forward and basically pay for the cost of removal itself and place a lien on the property for its cost. Mark, I'm remembering, it seems like we talked about with one of these properties a few years ago that maybe it was looked at, and Brian, this may have been what you were referring to, that maybe the cost of tearing it down was going to even be in excess of the value of the property. But you have to look at each one on a case-by-case basis, and then if you decide you want to move forward, just start that process with notice to the property owners, see what they do, and go from there.
There's the one that you're talking about on Lawrence. It's not just a house, but it's the old mill behind it.
Yeah, the barn stuck out.
That was actually a sawmill that went way back in the 20s and 30s, and it's just in bad shape, and it's a danger, or it's getting to be a danger because it's almost falling down. I've taken anybody to see that. When we're talking about the condemnation in eminent domain and stuff like that, it's like, that's a real scary for me. And as long as we're working on something where we can improve it and help the property owner, I don't know that I'm real happy about going in and trying to take over property.
Yes, ma'am, and of course, I wouldn't recommend eminent domain. I mean, to go through eminent domain, we have to be taking it in order to provide a public service, in return. We have to, take it over and put utilities through there or some kind of public facility that we were going to do. But these are two places in town that, we're not going to get any further with solving the issues through letters and codes. They're just, it's going to be unresponsive. So if we are to do anything, further with these properties, it would be more than likely through condemnation, which would not mean we were trying to take their property. It would just simply mean that we're forcing them to bring the property up to code.
And if they can do that, like you said, and bring it up to code, and it doesn't cost, somebody would put up like 50% of what it would cost to rebuild a house or put a new house in, then that's great. I mean, I think the neighbors would love to see that actually used as a family residence. But I think Mark and codes have been dealing with this over the period of time that tall grass, the weeds are falling, the doors are open, things like that. So again, I was under the impression before I even got Alderman that it was worked on, but everybody was afraid that it was more like kind of eminent domain. We're taking your property. We don't want your property. We just want you to fix your house and make it where the neighbor who wants to maybe sell or wants to do more things to her house, make it more appealing for her.
And I would say that if we went down the road of condemnation, we'd, probably need to look at least $30,000 per site, in cost to take it down, that we would probably have to hold for a while until the property sold. Or, sometimes when that happens, the property sells and somebody cleans it up without, before it ever gets to that point. So, but I would say, we'd be looking at roughly 30 each to bring them down. And that's based on what it took us to take that one down at, over on Depot Street. So, we may have to hold on to, a little of that cost for a while, but we would eventually recoup it.
Just to show a little faith to the citizens, can we start in our own backyard and do something with that
That's
shed?
exactly what I was gonna say. Should
Just
we
so they can see that we're serious about
clean
this.
our own house first?
Absolutely. We actually, have had that scheduled to be done. It's like everything else, where
This year.
everyone's 6 months behind on what they can do.
Well, was the reason we were against it last time because we thought we couldn't get our money out of it? I can't remember from.
I'm not sure, if we ever came to one, consensus reason. It just kind of, got to the point where it was coming to the board and then didn't get any further for whatever reason.
It just seems like the number for the White House was way astronomical between the lead-based paint. Matt can't burn it because of asbestos. There's no good way. There's no good cheap way to do it.
And hopefully,
I just remember it being an astronomical number. It was a whole lot more than 30,000 last time.
I wouldn't doubt that.
We mentioned it.
But
Well,
yes,
I'm just thinking when you go to take people's property away, and that's, when you're thinking in that line, that's a slippery slope to me. And sometimes, what.
And the main reason we're doing it is for the safety.
Right, because I have lots of had more vehicles in my yard. There are people who probably think mine
And the
needs to be
safety will be
cleaned
on
up.
being on
Next
their
thing,
property.
mine will be
correct, Mark?
condemned. That's the scary part.
The safety purpose is being on somebody's property. Could got hurt or fall down or get in there.
I would never recommend we condemn anything unless there was a safety factor.
yes, correct.
Well, both of these houses are getting. I agree with John. Both of those houses are getting very, very, very close. A good wind is going to take over the red house there on the corner of Broadview and Lawrence.
That'd be a best scenario, wouldn't
That's
Mr. Todd, is there something that either you and I can work on, or we can go through MTask and get some more definitions to help the rest of us in deciding on this, and maybe bring this back in January, whatever way we can go at it with a little more steam and see if we can make it a move?
Yeah,
I realize it's gonna take a period of time to make up the proper paperwork, and then it's still gonna be 30, 60, 90 for them to appeal it or disagree with us on it before we can really get it done. But at least if it's in motion and not per se tabled or anything like that, we keep it in motion, we might be able to accomplish it next year.
Yeah, I think what I would suggest is the first step, and I don't know whether we can do this between now and the next meeting, but is to kind of update the report on the condition of the properties, because we'll need to do that anyway in order to put on proof about the need for them to come down, and have that brought back before you. Again, if it can be done before January, great, but have that brought back before you, and then you can vote to move forward with I refer to it as a condemnation procedure because that's how it is referred, but it's a different procedure for demolition of unsafe structures than it is for a new public project. But you could vote on it whenever that report's ready. We could give notice to the property owners and start the process. And as Mark said, sometimes, just getting started on the process and giving the property owners formal legal notice that we're moving forward might get them to respond when they haven't before. But
So we don't need any kind of, we already have all the things in place that we need to start moving forward with it. And I
well,
think
yeah. What I would suggest is that we just update our reports on the conditions of the property, bring it back before you to vote to move forward. We won't be filing a condemnation petition with the court. We'll be giving them notice that they're in violation of the codes and that they have so many days to remedy it before we take further action. And again, ultimately, if they don't respond, we can move on to take it down and put our cost as a lien on the property. So again, that we're condemning the structure, but we're not condemning their property for public use.
Okay. So we could have this ready by next month, hopefully.
January, February would be fine, I think,
Okay.
to get enough homework in, the further along, but
If we're looking for consensus, there's nothing to vote on, but
What are our other options? I mean, obviously, it appears to me that they're not gonna get any better on their own.
I think that, you know, like I said, we've talked to property owners and written letters to property owners for these two particular areas that we're talking about without response. So I think realistically, the only way to further this along, to try to get these two places straightened out would be to go through this process or start this process and see if they respond to it. And it's just not, you know, it's never fun to, you know, get to that point when we're dealing with other people's property.
But nobody lives in either place, correct?
No, ma'am. And they are, both of these properties are very obviously abandoned and unsafe. I mean, there's not any debate, I don't think about that. Our fire department has been, you know, told to, you know, if something were to catch on fire, let it burn to no entry. You know, it's not safe to enter under, you know, any condition. So there's places that they're just two very unsafe properties.
so what I'm hearing is this is just the next step in what we've already been doing. So we don't really have to take any action or a vote on this until the next step. I assume the codes department will bring this back to us and with the legal, and then everything's in place already.
We'll work on updating that report as Todd requested. I might try to involve our building inspector with Marshall County to, you know, give me some kind of report, you know, as far as the condition of the structure, and we'll go from there.
Well, I guess then the consensus is we're ready to just pull the trigger on that and go. Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Resolution 2020-40, health insurance renewal.
We were able to pick a plan this year that follows basically the same thing that we had last year. I think on the spreadsheet that was sent to you, it shows that there's I think a minus 3.4% in the premium.
Right.
But to get that, the deductible went from 4,600 to 6,000. So where we were contributing 2,600, 2,300 last year to each employee. The proposal is to, you know, accept the premium at a negative 3.4% decrease, but that will be offset by what we're proposing to contribute 3,000 instead of 2,300 to the HSA for the employees. It comes out to be about the same amount of money for the town that we spent last year. There won't be any change as far as out-of-pocket expense-wise for any single employee on the plan. Plus ones and families, if they use it, could experience up to a $700 increase in their liability if they use it. But it's as close as what we could get to last year's plan while staying within what the town spent last year.
Have you met with the, or held with the
We
employees?
did, we talked about that, a week or two ago. And I really didn't get any comments, negative or positive, back from it. And I think most of our employees realize that they've got really good health insurance coverage, and
I've had no one contact me or does anybody else? So I take that they are pleased with it. So, do I have anyone who wants to move to approve the renewal?
Well, this is, I'll move to whatever you need me to move.
You move to approve
The
resolution
resolution,
2020-40.
That's
I
it.
have a motion to approve renewal. Do I have a second?
I'll make a motion.
Well,
Okay.
you're a little late.
We have a motion and a second. It's for, I guess, spending of money, so I'll ask you to call roll.
Alderman Falconberry,
No,
Alderman Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Joyce,
Yes.
Alderman Morton,
Yes.
Alderman Sedlak,
Yes.
Alderman Williams.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Resolution 2020-41, Martin Methodist College to University of Tennessee support resolution. At the last JEDBC that we went to, they were just asking the municipalities or other government entities to pass a resolution and send it in support of Martin Methodist becoming part of the UT system. It's yet to be unnamed. It will be the only public university between Chattanooga and Memphis on the southern part. So that's really exciting to have a UT this close to us. And so I'm hoping we'll do that. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve that we send a resolution saying we support the merger or acquisition?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Alderman Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? It carries. Any other business?
I gotta go. Go ahead.
You go
sir.
first.
Well, first, Mr. Mark, can we put the parking lot lights on a timer out here?
They are on a timer.
I just hadn't seen them on at all. Is there a reason?
I'm thinking that they must be on a switch that is in here, that I'm not sure which one it is, that we're
Okay.
turning off at night.
Okay. All right.
Because I went by and they're on sometimes, and sometimes like I was here, got here at like 5 the other morning and there was no light here, so I thought.
Every time I've driven by, they're just not on. It's just a dark hole here
I
right
think
now.
it must be something that we're switching off in here and not knowing that it's switching off those outside lights, so I have to play with it a little bit to make sure that they're.
what about the light for the flag?
It is probably on that same
Okay,
Switch.
switch, so
we
when
should have a light on the flag. at
yeah,
night.
when the lights are on the building, the flag is lit up.
Understood.
And the other thing I got, with this, or canceling our Christmas party, I'm assuming we have a budget for it there somewhere. Since we canceled it, could we take that money and help a couple kids in town or anything like that?
I think we used it for Christmas.
Or did we? I mean, that's fine too.
I mean, honestly, Brian, I mean, if y'all wanna spend an equivalent amount of money on a good cause, I mean, that's y'all's prerogative.
But we have to go through a nonprofit organization. We can't just.
That's
Well,
correct.
Yeah,
I learned that.
Okay, I wasn't sure how that worked
Yeah,
either
so-
there, so.
Uh,
I mean, like an angel tree or something along.
I'm not sure. I'll just know. we
Or
have to
like
go
the
through-
Soldier's Child,
Yeah.
they help out with Christmas gifts, which is a great program.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody comes up with a program that they, would love for us to contribute to in lieu of our party or whatever we want to say, then, that's just bring it to me.
It's just, honestly, I don't see any kind of opportune time, any time in the near future for us to get together to,
I don't
do
either,
anything.
but I tell you, I do think that it'll be important once we are past this, for all of us to get together and have some kind of in-house celebration.
For our own
I think so
employees.
too.
Yeah,
For our own employees, yeah.
but they usually get their bonuses right now, or
Yes, ma'am. We give out those bonuses the week of Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Black Friday shopping.
That's something.
and things.
That's good.
So
I
they
always
get
prefer more of the money that we'd spend
Well,
on like
that's
the
what-
dinner and stuff down there at the park. And so
Oh,
make
sure.
sure I'm clarifying what I'm trying
Oh,
to sort
yeah.
out here.
Along with the lights, is there any progress on our sign?
Once again, it's another thing where we contacted someone probably 2 months ago, to come look at it, and everybody is just behind right now. I have never seen anything like what we deal with right now as far as people trying to get in materials. And, you know, I know that, you know, like this, our baseball group is wanting to move, and I'm trying to get our park surveyed, you know, so that we can,
That was my next question.
you know, get a, you know, Todd needs a description of that property so that he can draw up the official resolution for us to donate that property.
Have you spoke to Bishop about the sign? He's been making some really nice ones here lately.
I haven't spoke to Bishop, myself, and I know Kelly's the one that had contacted someone about it. You know, I'd actually kicked around the idea of us actually building one, but, then I kicked that idea out.
Do you have any idea of the design? You want something to be on the building or in the yard in front, or
It's out there where
wood
the
with
old
spots on it?
sign was this
You
time.
know, I think, you know, we put something right back where the old sign was out by the road.
Oh, okay.
And then, we can do something similar to what we had on the other building with our logo,
Oh,
right up here. And I've actually got that, that we can put that, up there now, but it would need to replace that window, so it would take a little doing if we did that.
it would be nice to be able to
Identify, right.
And I, without getting too picky, it might be nice to have a wreath on the door. But I can go take care of that if I think that's important. Is that your next statement?
The old town hall looks way better than the new one.
No, let's just kind of pretend like we know Christmas is coming. But we do what we have to do.
Yeah, that's
And we still got our signs that's coming into Chapel Hill. We're still working on them, or that been looked at on both ends of Chapel Hill coming
I mean,
in.
that's something that the board's gonna have to
Okay.
take up, because that will be, you know, that'll be something that y'all need to vote on and budget the money for.
Do you not like the
those
sign that's
signs.
there?
You know, we talked about getting some newer signs, better signs, especially coming in on this side, coming in.
Down there in front of those.
Welcome to Chapel Hill,
warehouses.
city limits and the population. And, you know, we talked about that. We used to have one pretty good at one time. What will happen to you?
So that would be one of those things that committee would, I guess you would probably run that through. It would go into the next year's budget, basically.
But
So
you want,
with your committee, you got someone serving on that committee, which is Chad, who would bring that to, I guess, Mark, because he meets with all the department heads,
And it-
kind of
We'll
like.
bring it up.
I was
We've
gonna say,
already-
would you kind of
I will.
spearhead?
But we
that?
have already brought it up a couple of times, so I guess I thought it was already in going project.
First
I
time.
was sleeping, I guess.
We will make sure this next meeting we'll get it.
Okay, well, when we gotta pass the budget.
Because it's on our
make
wish
sure-
list that we come up with, things we gotta get done.
Right,
It's in there.
okay, but that was after the budget,
Yes.
after the,
Yes.
so it would be
Yeah.
put into the coming budget.
Budget.
That's how government kind of works a year behind, you know.
No,
when
we
you-
got, I'll bring it up.
So we have to be a year ahead to.
Yeah,
work
Our
on
next meeting
the
will be
fun
brought up.
things, that's always fun, you know.
When you guys are talking budget too, Mark, how soon do you need things to help you along before you come up with it?
Before we start the budget process.
Right. So you start getting the ideas of how much to
We'll see.
allow.
We'll send out the budget calendar first, and it usually goes out in January. And then the budget committee usually starts meeting, we've met as soon as February, and we usually are going no later than March. We'll send out requests to the department for capital expenditures.
Which is where that would come under.
Exactly. Because if we're talking about just something like a street sign, we're not talking about a lot of money. We could do that nearly immediately, but if we're talking about
I think we want something.
a big elaborate,
Something
if we're talking
nice.
about an elaborate monument
We
sign
are.
with landscaping
Yeah.
that looks special,
Mhm.
we're talking about big dollars that would have to go through the budget
On both
committee.
sides of town.
Well, let's get to work on that.
What's in it starts, yeah.
And so as we start getting ready for that too, I'd like for us to set a date for another planning session in January, which means we'll try to go over what we've accomplished. And then we can come up, if we want to mark anything off or we want to add things to it, then we'll know what we want to see added to the budget for capital projects.
I'm
and
good
those.
on most Saturdays or after 6 o'clock any night.
Now, the board has already approved the money and for getting the sound system. So I'm assuming that's been ordered.
We have the sound system.
Okay, so it's here.
Yeah, that was, we received a grant and it didn't meet the threshold for the board.
No, so we
Need
added
to
some.
approve it, so we went ahead and got that one.
Yes, that's good. So it's done.
Thank you.
No,
And
thank
Mark
you
can
very much.
approve it.
Yeah, it's here.
Good, good.
Okay, so now, when would you like to meet anyone? Saturday good for you? I mean,
Oh,
Saturday.
Use even too.
Just out of curiosity,
No,
Mr.
no,
Mark,
no.
how long we had the sound system here?
It got here Thursday.
Thursday.
or
Okay,
Friday.
I was just curious. This was part of our debate during
Yeah.
the event thing. That's what I was kind of
It got
curious
here
about.
Thursday or Friday, and it got brought up that since we have the new one, if we wanted to surplus and donate that smaller one, we could. But, you know, the discussion of loaning out things, you know, came to me, and I know y'all heard some stuff about it.
I agree.
We have a
with that.
small.
No, we're fine. We don't.
I don't think we need to loan out a $6,000 system, because as soon as we do, come 4th of July, when we do them,
We can't.
No, I think we're all on the same page on that one.
I think so too. But as far as the other, the present one that we have, my opinion, and this is, I know what you think about my opinion, is rather than donating it to anybody, keep it here as part of the city's property with certain groups having first, refusal to use it for their opportunities. But then again, suppose one day, the veterans program's going on and we just need two things, and then if we give it away, it's gone.
And I agree. The only thing about if it's ours, we have to have, one of us that's a responsible party for the equipment when it goes out. I can't loan it to a group of private citizens or a private citizen.
Okay, even if.
If say Mike and I had talked about this, if Mike wanted to be responsible for the equipment and set with
Yes,
it that
we
day,
didn't bring it back.
No, I
and
don't.
be responsible for bringing it back, then that's fine. Or if we assign one of the employees to,
Correct.
Okay.
use it or be responsible for it.
Can we not
that's fine.
just leave the smaller system at the community center for like our citizen of the year? We do not need a $6,000 system for the citizen of the year award ceremony.
Yes.
Just leave it there and
Absolutely.
use it at
That's
that.
a very good
point.
idea, Brian. Thank you. I think that would be really,
Yeah,
That's where it needs to be.
yeah, because that's where it would be.
That's where it'd be
used
more
more.
easy.
Yeah.
come
That's
back to
fine.
when do you want to meet in January? BOMA will meet the 11th. I put that wrong in my calendar.
11th on a Monday.
That's a Monday, so a regular meeting. Does anyone want to meet, before that? Or, because this is just a session and we'll have fun working. Maybe I might cook again. I don't know.
Second.
I don't know, but-
If you're not gonna cook, Mr. don't be-
Mike and Brian ought to call to do it before the meeting at 7. The soonest, as I understand it, that it makes sense for y'all to be able to be there at 6. Is an hour,
As soon as I can get home in the evening at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
does
Save life.
does an hour seem reasonable to
You want to just shoot for a Saturday and do?
We can shoot for a Saturday, or we can, we can meet the first Monday. It doesn't make any difference to,
Maybe it's the first Monday
or the Saturday before that, whatever y'all want to do. I'm just asking.
Saturday before that's the 9th.
The Saturday before that is the 9th.
I'm fine with that. Y'all are already
I should be able to make that work.
Okay, let's do,
Same thing, 8 o'clock like you did last time, we do it later.
8 or 9, it's fine.
let's do 9.
I like 9 too.
I'll be getting up early that day.
So 9 o'clock, the
9.
9th. 9 and 9.
All right. Any other business?
I have something I'd like to discuss. I'll bring this up. I think that it's appropriate. We're getting bigger and there's more and more stuff going on. Is there a place that the mayor could have an office in this building?
Yeah.
Because
I'm
he or
sorry,
she's gonna be meeting with people, and it's so much more professional to say, meet me in my office as opposed to come sit in my kitchen.
I think that absolutely, matter of fact, that's kind of,
But that's,
what that and, for anybody that, if any of y'all need to come up here and meet with somebody for whatever reason in an office, I think that absolutely could be used. But yeah, it's open and ready to be
I'll
used.
come put my picture up there.
oh, gosh.
Teasing.
Now, wait a minute, I may want to take the discussion back.
I think that'd be a good idea, because our mailbox is already there.
Uh-huh.
She can feed the mailboxes, whatever she has to and stuff. Available instead of having everybody meet at your house. It'd be a lot safer.
And I think, would like to be able to use it for, if we bring some employees in to train on a computer or something
Sure,
like
sure.
that sometime, but yeah, for the most part, it's wide open. It's just there to be utilized.
It just seems, appropriate for the mayor to have enough, most
Don't you plan on
towns even have a place for them, so.
I appreciate that. I'll just take that up and get myself right in there.
Oh, Lord, she's already encouraged.
Already going for your
I'm
desk.
big and large.
Are we still on other business?
We're still on other business. We have any other?
I do. I have some complaints, and I know we're supposed to bring up our code meetings and complaint meetings, but I'm just gonna go ahead and ask where we're at on it. If anybody heard about it? Over the weekend, I had several people complain about the donut guy moving his generator even closer to the people that was complaining.
I've got the electrician coming.
Okay, because I talked to him myself this
He
time,
told me.
and he said that's the first time he's been talked to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I thought you had handled it before.
Okay.
so
So,
that wasn't the first time he's been talked to, but
so what's happening?
well, I'm gonna get involved, and I'm gonna get an electrician too. If you already done it,
I've already got an electrician
because
coming.
I called one today too. So
To get it, wire permits.
yeah, I like for him to
generator
have.
on
I
it.
like for him to have a pump.
Sean has approved an outside plug. We just gotta get an electrician there to put it in for the donut fella.
No,
That's coming off the landscape. The metering is off.
They didn't want him in here. Him and Sean have something worked out. They're just putting an outside plug.
Do they need help paying for that? Because I did tell him, I told him.
No, I don't, no, that's on him.
I don't mind it from the vendor.
Well, that couldn't be.
It'll just be safer instead of having the generator and everything hanging out on the edge of the road.
It's the noise, it's like mowing your yard for 8 hours.
It is,
No,
annoying.
That makes sense.
Well, I never really paid attention to it, but this might be the first Saturday I paid attention to it, but I guess the neighbor, my number one complaint, he moved it. He moved it because the neighbor in front of him was complaining. He moved it to the back neighbor.
Well, I drove by several months ago when
You can
somebody
hear
had
it, it's
mentioned.
loud.
It's loud from the street in the car.
I didn't hear
It's open.
somebody pointed it.
Great donuts.
Oh, I had
That's
some.
so
good.
I mean, they are
Don't
great.
messing with my donut guy, people. Y'all don't know.
Oh, I love it, him.
I told him I wanted to stay there.
But
Good
it's
service,
partly-
Mark.
A good idea for that agenda for that Saturday would probably be discussion of vendors and writing something into our code that better handles
There you go.
different types of vendors.
I
Right
agree.
now, we handle them as just temporary or transient vendors. And I think that they would probably be better served to have something a little more concrete to.
There was a little safety concern with him because he had his cable, I think it was stretched all the way out across the street over the trees, down the
Well, that's
road,
it.
across the fence.
The other thing with that is I think that the police department and fire department have to look at it too. So Mark's idea of setting up an ordinance, a code, whatever that has to be done. You just can't pull anything up there. It has to be so far off the road and have
Yeah,
that
this
certain
one-
features
this
to
one, yeah.
it, so. I
Is
think-
that a Todd thing?
Yeah, I would ask Todd to help us put together an ordinance to handle different types of food vendors and that type of thing.
He's got us muted again.
He's
He's
a good
ducking
guy.
us
He's
again.
willing to work with anybody. He's not.
We can see the little red mic there, Todd.
Yeah, no, I could hear you just fine, thanks. I'll do some investigation on the donuts.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'll definitely need something.
I'll have to go taste them and
I
see.
guess it's been going on too long. It's been going on for a year.
Yeah, that's good.
I brought two of the decorations plaques. The people were not there.
And I'm going to count my electrician.
And I don't know who they
I
are.
got Bill
So
Johnson.
they're in that box up there. If anybody comes by looking for their award,
Hey, give me some.
Somebody asked
Try to
me.
seek them out.
we ask if anybody knows these people, please.
Somebody,
Are they gonna
asked
put one
who
at the
these
pole?
people were. Do you know who they,
No, but I can find out from Ruth.
I only knew the Hoovers and,
And
the Air
guys.
Guys.
And
There was one out at the curve of
the
99.
Odie and Tracy. Whoever got local people.
One other thing that we did vaguely discuss at one of the event things is with all these things going on, is there a way we could get like a nice polo or something made for us, Mark, to when we're doing these events so people know who we are?
Oh, I
I
heard
think
that
so.
discussion.
How do we go about getting something like that done?
It's less than 5,000.
Just say that y'all want it and we'll make it happen.
I believe, with us doing things like this, when we're taking pictures with the paper and such, that we at least ought to have a nice, not even so much a dress shirt. I'm more of a polo kind of guy, just so y'all know. Just something that says Town of Chapel Hill.
Yeah, the camera on.
I think you should too. I agree.
I think that's a good idea.
With all the stuff on it, or?
What's that?
Committee on it, or alderman, or mayor, or?
Town of Chapel Hill, like a work shirt, little name,
Yeah.
Town of Chapel Hill.
Exactly.
So simple,
right.
a little bit of class behind it.
Should I run back over to the coach committee and then tell me, or what, or is that?
That's up to you guys.
How does the food drive work
So
out?
you can design it.
Boy,
We don't run it down the
Looks
sleeve,
like
on the
they
board
were,
time line, I need a whole sleeve work.
How does the food drive end up working out?
Oh, very, very well. The bridge, that is turning out to be a big thing. Thank you, by the way, for having to run all over town.
That's fine.
Joe was busy
cars
learning
backed up
something on
to
me. He picked up your slack this week, Joe.
Lewisburg.
I appreciate it, yeah.
But for those that don't know, the bridge is coming in and they're doing a wonderful thing. I think we were 175 families this last go around. It's turning into being a big thing. We are doing deliveries for the folks that can't get out, or we went over to Spring Creek Apartments, is that right?
Yes.
We were able to set up 12 families over there. It's turning out to be a wonderful program for us. If there's something that the town can do to help that, and I don't know what.
The last couple of times they've asked for lighting.
Right.
By the church.
I've donated that. I've donated lights for the side of the truck.
Okay, well, anyway, so
I've gotten
the
that
fire
taken care of.
department, let them use their tripod lights, I know a couple of times.
Doug brought them down last time.
And they're actively looking for some kind of place to establish a building, so they don't have to always bring everything at the last minute on the truck and try to build boxes. They can try to do it. There's a couple places near the fire station that was showing up on Real Max or Facebook or whatever, so I sent it to Mr. Kennedy, and he's supposed to be looking into that. But if anybody knows a business or a place that they can bring their truck and use it like an outreach or storage.
Is it Miss Tarnell that owns the older building right there? Is that Miss Tarnell's place?
No, the one that you're talking about right there, I think, Craig did on that one. That's where you're talking about where, Attic Attic
Yeah,
used to
yes,
be.
ma'am.
Yeah, or Attic Attic. I believe, McPherson's on that. That's what I'd love for the town to have. Just, you know,
That'd be nice.
You got something else, Mike?
That's all I've got. I appreciate it.
anybody else have anything? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'm gonna take turn.
I'll second.
All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Bye.
Bye, Horace.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Dennis Everett's here in Chapel Hill. He's a really good electrician too.
The reason I say I would love to have that building is the oldest business building in town.
That's the one I always see in the pictures, with the streetlight picture there. That's the one that.
And it's been everything. I call it Mr. Glasscock's Grocery because that's what was there when I was a kid. And I would love to have it eventually someday for us to use as our, I mean, we've got the library and archives. I'd really love for us to have a